All right, this first edition of One Play Wednesday for Week 10 is going to be a look at Dalvin Cook's 81-yard touchdown run against the Bills. Really sparked the Vikings comeback, if you ask me. Justin Jefferson made some great plays, obviously. Kirk Cousins cleaned up a little bit of the turnover issues, and they got, at least one, if not two lucky breaks to come back and win the game. I shouldn't say lucky, fortunate. But Dalvin Cook's run late third quarter, to me, really kicked off that comeback. Dalvin Cook's having a great year. A talented running back, I think, but kind of goes a little bit unmentioned across a lot of the social media stuff that I see. Maybe, being a Ravens content creator, I just don't see a whole lot of stuff about the Vikings, even though they're obviously a great team so far this year. 730 yards rushing through 9 games, 6 touchdowns. Against the Bills, had 14 for 119 in terms of yardage. But if you take out that, and this is something that it's a little unfair to do, but if you take out that 81-yard run, he only had 13 for 38. So I would say the Bills generally did a good job, but this was a huge run. Cut the Vikings deficit 27-17 late in the third quarter. Then they got the interception of Josh Allen about 7 minutes of gameplay later and really took over in the fourth quarter. Got that fortunate break for the final touchdown to take the lead, eventually win 33-30 in overtime. We're going to take a look at the concept. We're going to use the all-22 angle and the end zone. I'm not sure if these plays have been covered on the NFL's YouTube channel or not. But if you paid attention to my channel at all, you know what that means is it'll cause this video to be demonetized, but still hopefully generate a lot of views and get different eyes looking at the channel. So this is going to be a weak side zone concept. And there's Cook at the tailback position. We're going to talk about the Bills' alignment a little bit out of their nickel and what's happening. We'll let it run one time through full speed. They're blocking the weak side safety with the X receiver, which I think is Jefferson. I think that's 18. Springs Cook free against the corner, the backside corner. This is one of the things that the Titans do with their run game a lot, is line up in 12 personnel. You can see the 2 tight ends here. And what it forces you to do. Now, the Bills, I say that this is their 4-2 nickel. It's really their base. I mean, now, I'm not a Bills content creator, so hopefully some Bills fans see this, and maybe they can correct me. But I see them playing a lot of nickel base, meaning Taron Johnson, who's a spectacular player, is the third linebacker. He's a hybrid. He's a nickel. Depending on where you line up as a formation, as an offense formationally, he'll line up in a different spot. So they got 2 tight ends and the Z, which I think is Thielen, on the same side. The offense is right, the defense is left. So what they've done is they've responded by putting the nickel or the hybrid or the star, whatever they want to call him. In our system, we called him the dog, putting him to that side. So what's happened is the Vikings have manipulated their defense, and when they crack this weak side safety, what they've really done is isolate the corner. I think it's Benford. It's a difficult thing for him to have to do. They do a great job, first of all, with the tackle, basing out on the D end. Milano steps inside some. I think the Bills, had an inkling that this weak side zone play was coming. And I think that's why Milano is stepping over and the safety's starting to spin down a little bit. But when you crack, it's not really a crack, it's just a pin with the X coming down on the safety. When you do this, and then the tackle bases out on the D end, who allows himself to get expanded, go upfield a little bit, now you've created a situation where your best running back, or your best athlete in a lot of situations, Dalvin Cook, is one-on-one against a corner who, in most situations, does not get paid to tackle. Now, we'll go back and we'll talk about the formation a little bit more. And this is the way some coaches, offensive coordinators think, they would like to run to the weak side, meaning away from the tight ends. They would go twins. So let's just say that the Z was over here, all right? Let's say that Thielen's feet was over here. So we'll try to put we'll try to color him out. You know how the Bills would respond? Taron Johnson would be lined up over here. And now you'd have to block him. Now you'd have to deal with him. One of the things about having, in 12 personnel, or 13 personnel for that matter, being able to run to the single receiver side. Certain teams don't do that. I can tell you as a Ravens content creator, the Ravens do not do this. They do not run to the single receiver side, so where the X is. When it's one receiver, no slot over there, no tight end, no fullback offset with his feet there to lead, just a single receiver. If you're able to do this, there are times where defenses kind of overcompensate to the 3 receiver side. I'm not necessarily sure that that's a fair analysis saying the Bills overcompensated, because they kind of have to. There's 2 tight ends over there to the right-hand side of the offense, the left-hand side of the defense. You can see them here. So they got Taron Johnson. I call him the nickel in their structure. He may be called a star, whatever. He's a hybrid guy who can play. He can step in here in the box and play inside linebacker if they need his feet to be here as a will, and they would move Milano or Edmonds when he's healthy over to create a 3 inside linebacker structure. He can do that. He can step out and guard tight ends. Tremendously talented player, very versatile. So he is outside of the second tight end. And then Von Miller, the edge player in their 4-2-5, he slid down over the inside tight end. Now, you can't really see that inside tight end's helmet, but you can see his feet there. It looks like white cleats. And again, it's going to be a weak side run play, weak side zone concept. The center and the guard, I mean, when they see Milano stem over like this pre-snap, this is a golden setup for them to combo the D tackle and then somebody get up and cut off Milano. Cutting him off means keeping him on that side so the running back can get leverage, can out-leverage the linebacker. Out-leverage means get closer to the sideline. And you can see at this point the guard has taken over Milano, and now the back has out-leveraged him. When I say leverage in any play concept, that just means get closer to the sideline than a certain particular player who is taught to not get out-leveraged by you. Secondary element to this is the receiver, which again, I think is Jefferson. Maybe it's not. Screen's a little fuzzy. He's blocking the safety. Doesn't matter who this safety is. He's going to get blocked. I mean, certain safety's going to come up there and maybe make a diving tackle at certain times, but there's a drawback to that. If a guy comes in here hell-bent on making a tackle, dives and misses it, now you've opened up even more space here, and it's going to be impossible for the corner to make a tackle. So there's something to be said for pressing down as a safety, like it looked like the Bills were trying to do, and then just trying to knock it back. If you ask me, if the Bills had this to do over again, looking at this, they would certainly not stem Milano to this side. Not blaming Matt Milano at all, or this guy, Hamlin, I think, hopefully I said his name right. They would just look at playing it different and having Milano attack whatever shows up with his inside shoulder, trying to turn the ball back to the backside inside linebacker. So what I mean is, instead of him being approximately in this area trying to go at this angle, him being Milano, he'd be approximately here trying to go at this angle and then take it on with his left shoulder. So whatever shows up with this guy, he being Milano, would try to knock it back. Cook would cut it back. You would probably get some D lineman peel off. Maybe it'd be a 5-6 yard gain, 7 yard gain if the line does a great job of it. But this, when you're out leveraged, is just a way you can't play it. And the Bills very rarely do things like this happen to their defense. It says a lot about the Vikings. They had just gone down 27-10 via field goal, get a long touchdown run to pull within 27-17. If you ask me, it really sparked this team to come back and get a win. I didn't mean for this video to be 8 minutes long. It's One Play Wednesday, where I take a look at one play in detail, try to break down elements that I see, that I noticed, on watching it once the All-22 comes out on Monday night. Let me know if there's any elements you think I missed. Obviously, the Bills' defense doesn't have certain starters out there. Edmonds being out, a couple of safeties, one of them being out long-term, and Hyde, I believe. But in any case, they allow themselves to be out-leveraged, and a simple concept, a zone to the weak side, turned into an 81-yard touchdown run that, if you ask me, was what kicked off the comeback for the Vikings on the road. Let me know what you think of my breakdown in the comments section.